Hey, what is going on, guys? It's Ed here from Ever Faster Racing, and in this video I'll be showing you what the fastest F1 cars are in the new game F1 2020. Just a note that I will only be covering the 10 2020 Formula 1 cars in this video. The classic cars and the Formula 2 cars will be in a later video. So to find out what the fastest car is, I took a kind of scientific approach, which basically means I tried to get the most accurate data possible by controlling lots of variables. So in my tests I used the default setup for every car. I also used the automatic gearbox in the corner line because I wanted to limit the driver input as much as possible to extract the true performance of the car. Obviously I can't remove all driver input, but I can dampen it a little. I also do 3 warm-up laps for each car to get the feel of it, and then set 3 race-pace laps and take an average so that we can get an accurate lap time, similar to what they do in qualifying for the Indy 500. The track I used is the Circuit de Barcelona Catalunya, as it's used for F1 testing and has lots of different features. Fast corners, slow corners, hairpins, straights and chicanes, so it really tests the car on all levels. So the 10 cars we'll be testing are the Mercedes W11, the Ferrari SF1000, the Red Bull Racing RB15, the Mclaren MCL35, the Renault RS20, the AlphaTauri AT01, the Racing Point RP20, the Alfa Romeo C39, the Haas VF20, and the Williams FW43. All of these are from the 2020 Formula 1 season. So now, let's see which teams have the fastest car on F1 2020. So we'll start from the bottom with Williams Racing. The FW43 has a Mercedes engine and is driven by George Russell and Nicholas Latifi. Williams had their worst season of F1 last year, and it seems that they are still at the back of the grid. The average lap time was a 1 minute 20.541, which makes it the slowest car on F1 2020. Next up we have the Haas F1 team with their VF20. This car uses a Ferrari power unit and gearbox and is quite similar to Ferrari's 2019 car, the SF90. It is driven by Romain Grosjean and Kevin Magnussen. However, it still seems to be a lot slower than the rest of the field, with an average time of 1 minute 20.429, which is just over a tenth of a second faster than Williams. Moving on to Alfa Romeo Racing Orlen with their C39. This car also uses a Ferrari engine and is driven by Kimi Raikkonen as well as Antonio Giovinazzi. This historical team was dominant in the early years of Formula 1 and made its return last year in the place of Sauber. The average lap time was a 1 minute 19.980, which is about half a second faster than Haas. The next fastest car on our list is Scuderia AlphaTauri's AT01. This is a new team to Formula 1 and was previously known as Toro Rosso, which had some success with Sebastian Vettel with 1 win, as well as Pierre Gasly who got a podium in Brazil in 2019. This car uses a Honda engine and shares components such as suspension, hydraulics and the gearbox with its sister team Red Bull Racing. It is driven by Pierre Gasly and Daniel Kvyat. The average lap time was a 1 minute 19.312, which is about 7 tenths of a second faster than Alfa Romeo. Next up we have the Renault DP World F1 team with their RS20, the slowest on the list to produce their own engines. It is driven by Daniel Ricciardo and Esteban Ocon. The Renault engine's main problem is the reliability, but we could see many points going their way if they can improve it. The Renault F1 team had success in 2005 and 2006, with Fernando Alonso winning the championship in both years. He is actually set to return in 2021 to the Renault team. The average lap time was a 1 minute 19.273, which is 0.04 of a second faster than AlphaTauri. The fastest car after that is BWT Racing Point F1 team's RP20. This car uses a Mercedes engine and is driven by Sergio Perez and Lance Stroll. It is also the last car to be branded under the Racing Point name, as it will become Aston Martin next year. The car was criticised for being very similar to the 2019 Mercedes W10 and was given the nickname Pink Mercedes. The car has definitely improved from last year and is 5th fastest in the 2020 F1 game. As of the making of this video, the legality of the car is still being investigated. The average lap time was a 1 minute 19.125, only just over a tenth faster than Renault. The next fastest car is the Mclaren F1 team MCL35, which uses a Renault engine and is driven by Lando Norris and Carlos Sainz. It is also the only team on this list to be faster than its engine provider. The team had a great season last year with 4th in the Constructors and a podium for Carlos Sainz, and it seems to be the same this year, maybe even 3rd in the Constructors. Its strongest competition are probably Ferrari and Racing Point. The average lap time was 1 minute 18.674, just under half a second faster than Racing Point. The third fastest car on the list is the Scuderia Ferrari Sf1000, driven by Sebastian Vettel and Charles Leclerc. This car is a lot slower than last year and was previously second in battling with Mercedes for the championship. However, now its qualifying results have gone down from pole positions to being eliminated in Q2. As the most successful F1 team in history with 16 titles, it is unfortunate to see them so far down. Ferrari is due to complete its 1000th Grand Prix this year at the Tuscan Grand Prix at Mugello. The average lap time was a 1 minute 18.674, the same time as McLaren. I put Ferrari first as I rounded this lap time up, while McLaren I rounded down. The second fastest car is the Aston Martin Red Bull Racing RB16, which uses a Honda engine and is driven by Max Verstappen and Alexander Albon. Along with Mercedes, Red Bull are one of the main title contenders for this year, having previously won 4 titles from 2010 to 2013. It is similar to its 2019 predecessor, the RB15, with some minor aero and suspension improvements. The average lap time was a 1 minute 18.176, which is half a second faster than Ferrari and McLaren. And now we get on to the fastest 2020 Formula 1 car on the F1 2020 game, which is the Mercedes-AMG Petronas F1 Team W11. This isn't a surprise as Mercedes have dominated F1 since the turbo hybrid engine came. It is driven by Lewis Hamilton and Valtteri Bottas, and is constantly improving with new developments such as dual-axis steering or DAS, which isn't in the F1 game. The average lap time was a 1 minute 18.144, which means it only 0.03 of a second faster than Red Bull, which is very interesting. So that concludes this video on which 2020 Formula 1 car is the fastest on F1 2020. I hope you found this video informative and useful if you are struggling to pick a car or want to know how your races will turn out. This was a very fun video to make and is probably the longest I've spent on a video since the Autosport International show. So if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and hit that thumbs up and also subscribe if you're new to the channel. And also comment down below if you want more videos like these for other games. The list of games that I have can be found in the channel description. So thank you so much for watching and I'll see you in the next one.